Happy Saturday to you, Link to the Past Randomizer League Season 3 fans, Zelda fans alike. You are tuned in to yet another race here in Week 4, Spoiler Log Key Sanity Co-op Pilot. I'm Eudaimonistic, joined today by JP. JP, how are you doing this afternoon?
I'm doing good. Looking forward to watching one of these races. Haven't had much of a chance to commentate lately, so I'm glad to be getting into one of these today.
Well, these tend to be a bit brief. Here in the Invitational League, we've seen sub 1 hour seeds regularly, occasionally longer than that, but I believe this is match 2 between these two teams. Did you check your boot? And Forfeiters are us, which I believe werfjig and Revenant here on the left, they won their race in the previous race, and then Humbugh here being piloted by Tam? No, not Tam. Is it Tam?
No, I think Tam's on. Did you check your boots?
Recidador.
Yeah, I think it's Recidador.
We had a lengthy conversation prior to the broadcast, and I just got it mixed up. But it looks like we're off to the races here.
Starting with a small key to pod. Usually these first few checks are just opening chests while the runners are just getting their bearings, especially the pilots.
Yeah,
so
sorry, go ahead.
The first few chests aren't necessarily an indication of what they're planning to do.
Absolutely, yeah, and it's a very stressful time for a spoiler race because with a pilot involved, they only get the spoiler log right at go. So our pilots have had less than a minute so far in real time because there's no stream delay to figure out where stuff goes. And so we often see this from a lot of the runners so far in both the Open League and the Invitational League, where a houlihan start to get rupees just for safety and to buy some time, literally, for the pilot.
So we already have our crystals and pendants assigned at the bottom thanks to our tracker. We see that pod is a pendant, and so is Skull Woods. I think I'm guessing deserts are third. Yep, there it is.
Yeah, shout out to Akir, our tracker today, for literally being that fast with the log, as that's the fastest they can get that information.
Yeah, we got that information up right away because in all likelihood these runners will not be checking their maps.
And hopefully not gathering any maps either.
That's a good point. Yes, no map gathering here. We already have divergence. werfjig. Oh, that's the reason for the divergence. Humbugh picks up his boots.
Holy galloping galoshes. That is a couple of pairs of shoes for our runners at the minute-and-a-half mark. Not often you get to gather them that quickly, but definitely a good reason to be heading South Shore.
Yeah, even if you're just picking up those, that's a pretty good pickup. And Humbugh's going to gain a little time on werfjig because of that to start. Oh, there's a glove too. That helps.
Yeah, and it's commonly seen here from werfjig and other runners to go through the south route to Kakariko to grab the 50-50 bomb bushes. werfjig actually getting both bombs, which is really handy because even though you need 3 to fully clear Kakariko, you don't necessarily need every bomb wall.
We need this one. Yep, that's a moon pearl. And he's going to grab a piece of heart too. Hearts are going to be a little hard to come by in this mode because just because you're not opening as many chests. So a lot of runners will end up with like 7-8 hearts.
Yeah, that's truly a hallmark of this mode is just the low % execution that frequently happens, as every spare second, every minute that you can take over your opponent just by doing something a little more dangerous really adds up. And we're going to see something from Humbugh here that we didn't see from werfjig on the way in, despite having the bombs, a race game, as we get a pod big key here from Blind's Hut.
Interesting with pod being a pendant. We're grabbing another small key to Dark Palace.
We additionally find the lamp here in the bombable wall of the Thieves' Hut, so that's interesting. No more bombs to work with. werfjig going to save and quit. I believe their team has found the boots in South Shore at this point, as we get a quake from the library. So far, Humbugh's route appears to be more efficient.
Yeah, grabbing those boots has really helped Humbugh out early. And I think, yeah, werfjig's heading straight for them now. So only a couple minutes behind, but early efficiency is definitely going to forfeiters. Looks like Humbug's gonna buy some bombs.
Yeah, one of the great strengths of the Houlihan opening is that you have all of the rupees you need to do something like this. You can get that sword off of the bottle vendor. You can buy bombs, and you still have a decent chunk towards something like Palace of Darkness entry, or maybe chest game, or whatever other early Dark World access rupee counts you need.
So early on, we're gonna have to look and see if those pod keys are gonna come into play. If there's something there that they're gonna have to get. I have to find out what else we're still looking for. We already have 2 items towards Dark World access with the glove and the Moon Pearl. We just need either a hammer or another glove.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat as you, though, JP, about 2 pod smalls and a pod big key already on the table between the 2 teams. It really seems like something important is in that route, as we'll get to see some new information from werfjig heading into the back of Escape.
So we got back. Okay, there's Kina Samaria and a Mitz. Okay, there's our Dark World access.
Just a scant 5 minutes into the race.
Yeah, it seems a little fast, but it's about standard for these.
And just as a refresher to those of you out there who maybe haven't seen this format at all, of course, this is a spoiler log co-op. Importantly, a 7 crystals GT 7 crystal Ganon defeat Ganon seed. So pretty standard fare outside of the key sanity aspect.
Yeah, this is going to be pretty interesting to watch. These tend to go really fast.
Yeah, and with boots available, we can start to see the execution differences between runners. When you don't have boots, you typically have a little bit more leeway, as boots do give you a lot of opportunities to do certain screens more efficiently in general. Boots can also allow you to, say, slide around corners. That's an ether here on the old man. But also allows you to take advantage of certain minor glitches like spin speed, or maybe hook speed later. Or I guess the overall branch of which might be called super speed, as we're seeing werfjig take advantage of that on the way up to the top of the mountain without the mirror. So it looks like Spectacle Cave has something important for us.
Yep, he's just leaping straight down there. We don't even get to see what's on the Spectacle Rock itself. Oh, there's the flute. We absolutely do need that. As Mire is a crystal, so we need an access to the Mire area, so flute is required. Plus, it's just nice movement.
And while we can access one through the flute, it's just nice to have that same quit point as well. So they have several options available to him. Humbugh taking an unfortunate death. 3 hard Death Mountain, not friendly.
Yeah, that's rock RNG right there. A little unfortunate, but will not cost him much time.
Well, we'll hope to have a little more solid RNG from the rocks this time up. Really feeling a little sedimentary here being stuck on that ladder, but we'll be able to climb up and maybe form into something a little more solid.
I think that one stretched it a little bit.
Just a little. But I mean, he does make the extension into the cave, so it worked.
That's fair.
Flute's activated. Where are we heading with it? werfjig apparently going to go buy bombs just to be safe. Both do have their rupees for the Palace of Darkness, so with most things besides the hammer at their disposal, it really feels like they're gearing their entire routes around that.
So, yeah.
Although you did make a good point, they do have the Mire area open now they have that flute.
Yeah, they have the flute. They have the Kina Samaria. They have Quake. We could see an early dip into Mire, though they can't complete it without the Mire big key.
Okay, so maybe the big key's in there. 3-heart Vitreous, anybody?
I don't think either of those want to do that. Ideally, you'd want to pick up silver arrows if you can before doing Vidi, especially in this mode.
Or even arrows to begin with. So another aspect of spoiler co-op that kind of flies under the radar for folks who aren't playing it is there's a lot of humor sometimes in the way that pilots try to expect their runners to do certain things and runners expect their pilots to do certain things. You'll see like a little bit of comedy going on. We might ask about it in interviews, like, you expect me to do what with this equipment, or I can't get this equipment until when? So they were a little friendly with movement early on in terms of what they found, but I wouldn't be surprised to see 5 or 6 hard boss fights coming up.
So we got werfjig running straight over to Hype Cave. Though he gets bombed and forced down as Humbugh is heading into the mire area.
Oh boy.
Oh, we are going to get a dip into mire with 3 hearts.
Bold being an understatement at this point. I'm just wondering what is so important in here that you would go in there with 3 hearts. I mean, even the Mire 2 room is a boss room at this point.
It kind of is. Well, they have medallions. That'll help. Either medallion and Quake medallion are good in this room.
Ooh, Humbugh trying to be really slick with the Canis Samaria block. He has to watch out, though. Like, these Whiz Robes are lethal. 1-hit KO.
Gets through Mire 2.
Ooh, and that was a splash delete from werfjig there. That was interesting.
He's going... Oh! He didn't want to do that. He can't get up there now. Yeah, it looks like he was heading for something on the east side of the Dark World, but he messed up and unfortunately lost his fake flippers and couldn't get over there. Could we have a hammer on the right side of Dark World?
That's kind of what I was thinking, JP, is like you wouldn't direct your runner to do something like that in such a dangerous situation unless there was something of serious value that the hammer is locked behind or the hammer is really difficult to get. So that was really fascinating to see. We haven't seen much like that this week. I gotta say, credit to these pilots. They're definitely come up with some inventive stuff.
Yeah, they have. This is a very dangerous play for Humbugh as werfjig finds a fire rod.
Yeah, it's worth saying that a lot of things are way faster with the fire rod at your disposal, including this Mire room, which, is he going to make it? Yeah, he will.
So, meanwhile, werfjig, what's on the Zora ledge? werfjig is heading straight for the Zora ledge.
Yeah, we'll get another Ancilla splash delete here with the stored water walk to make it a little bit more efficient. There we go.
Okay, that's a nice little combo there. As Humbugh gets the flippers and Mire, werfjig grabs the hook shot off the Zora ledge.
Yeah, that's a fascinating difference of choices here. So, I mean, did you check your boot? Really opting for like the maximum sequence break potential of their early equipment. Humbugh and Pilot going a little bit safer. Perhaps Recidador believes more firmly in, hey, just do this without any chance of just dying accidentally in the overworld.
So, Chad asking about that, about what werfjig just pulled off there. It's a bit of newer tech. Basically, what werfjig did was overload the screen with sprites, so that when Link jumped down, it didn't have a splash animation, and because there was no splash animation, it didn't check for the flippers, and he was just able to swim from there.
It doesn't have to make physics sense, it just needs to make engine sense.
So we got another key to Turtle Rock. werfjig getting some much needed health. Now up to 5 hearts. Small desert, and there's the hammer.
You know, I gotta say, that really makes the decision to try to sequence break earlier kind of confusing to me. I get why you'd want to avoid having to get this hook shot first. But I mean, there must be something super important on the right side of the desert or dark world.
So looking at where we're at right now, I'd say these are about even. I mean, Forfeiters took a little more time getting those flippers, but werfjig at some point is going to have to get those flippers. So that time won't be fully lost by humbugh.
Yeah, and a point also worth making is that spoiler log co-op pilot is actually one of the few weeks, well, the only week really, where runners and pilots are allowed to watch restreams and each other's streams. So they may be sniping each other, try to, take whatever seconds and minutes they can from each other. Just thinking about, hey, did you die here? Or, did this person struggle with this tech? So, I mean, a lot of this stuff happens on the fly. It's understated just how much focus has to be split.
Another thing that's worth keeping an eye on, they did pick up the desert small here. So, 2 pendant dungeons with something you might need in them?
What is this, key sanity, JP?
Good point. Yeah, that is the running joke, is that key sanity seeds tend to be all dungeon seeds.
Yeah, we're hoping that we don't have to kill those bosses. That would be the nice thing. Best case scenario. Alright, well, I think this is our first visit through Village of Outcasts, if not a brief one. werfjig heading towards the north side, looking to swim across the river, I think?
Yep, he'll have to set up another little bit of a sequence break here because he has no flippers.
This one more commonly known as the Kern jump, named after a community member named Kern who kind of pioneered it. Turns out you can actually use the bomb's knockback, if you time it correctly, to knock you right into the 1 pixel away from the edge of the screen to get the fake flippers.
We did see the bow picked up earlier on werfjig's side, but that is their first bow, which they will need for Eastern at minimum.
JP, are we about to find a mirror on the catfish?
It's very possible, though. I'm going to say no, because if mirror's in the catfish, I think werfjig. Well, actually, no, he couldn't have routed this differently because he doesn't have the flippers. He needed to set up for those. Well, actually, I'm not sure.
He sets up the quick warp. That's looking like it.
Well, it's a big. To deserts. Uh-oh.
That's so weird.
The first 2 big keys they pick up are pendant big keys.
Well, I was real hopeful for a mirror there just because it's kind of like the funny thing. And that would explain why we tried to do the early East Dark World, but no such luck here today. But werfjig will end up heading into the early Eastern Dark World through the hammer that we picked up earlier, and heading towards Palace of Darkness now as we see humbugh heading to the escape sequence.
Okay, so we got something down in the escape area, not in that first chest.
See, I think this mode is really catered to the NMG runners out there because you don't open every chest.
Yeah. That's one of the interesting things, if you ever play NMG and you've done a lot of rando, is learning to not open every chest.
This is seriously my biggest struggle. Also want to point out werfjig doing a nice little juke to bring Kiki a little closer to him to make the cutscene a little shorter. Good little time optimization there.
And all he went down there for was a 3rd pod small.
Yeah, it's interesting because normally you need like a lot of pod keys to try and full clear Palace of Darkness. But if you only need to go to the boss or get to the back, you need basically 1 or 2, depending on the key layout and your items. With bow available to us, they probably don't need very many keys.
Yeah, you would need at least one to get to the boss, but it's a pendant, so you might not need to do the boss.
Yeah,
But
I'm just surprised to see 3.
yeah, usually 2 plus the bow is enough to do quite a bit in here.
Yeah, there is an opportunity to save keys up to 2 in this dungeon. You can avoid opening the front door, or you can do a hammer yum. That's a mirror, and we're probably not using that because we went the long way around, but that's an awesome find.
Actually, our check is a little off here. Werfjig does have 2 keys looking at his top, so...
No, that's interesting. I think Humbug's going to use the front door with that extra key. That does make this dungeon a little faster to do. However, wasn't that mirror on the bowlock side?
It was.
Are we going to see a hover here?
I'm not sure what these runners are comfortable with, so we'll see.
It looks like they'll get it on the way back through, but that could be a potential blip in terms of execution, unless we see a fast death warp.
Oop, Werfjig does not get his jump. Humbug grabs another heart container. And he just wanted that heart container. And he had to go downstairs to reset the bridge. Which is a good heads-up play. Grab a heart container. That was definitely worth the time, I think.
Yeah, we'll get to see in real time just how much longer you have to set up your hammer yump if you do it from the top of the bridge. It's commonly not seen. That's a Misery Mire big key. Wow. By a lot of runners, because most people try to do it from the bottom of the room, but the bridge does take longer to start despawning if you start from the north.
And he's not out. Werfjig's continuing.
Yeah, so as best as I can tell, the time lost by not having another small key is going to be saved by werfjig having a more effective hammer yump, getting some convenient bomb drops as well. But despite having to loop back around, the mirror having been picked up earlier also will save him some time here.
Alright, what is Werfjig? Werfjig's heading to Helma. So...
It's a scary fight.
That is a scary fight with 5 hearts. Well, Humbug's going to pick up something... Oh no, he's just taking a death warp. He doesn't have that mirror yet.
Oh, that's unfortunate for werfjig, not having the magic to use the Cane of Samaria to be faster in this room. That is the worst feeling.
Actually, what's even worse is he skipped a full magic container a little earlier. I saw it drop and I wondered why I didn't go pick it up. But yeah. Probably wasn't thinking about needing a little bit of magic in here. And Humbug is also heading to Helma. He hasn't gone and picked up that mirror yet, which... That mirror is required. He has to go pick that up.
Yeah, I'm very confused by that. Now, of course, there's not really that big of a penalty to doing it at the end. I mean, if you were going to get it and be more optimal in the dungeon, you'd really need to grab it right away. But it could be very easily forgotten, and that's what I'm most concerned about. I mean, is there even a format where you want to skip a mirror? I feel like if it's available to you and you're in the area, you just get it no matter what.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, good news for the archery and fletchery aficionados out there. These turtles are providing buku arrows. Quite a few. We have a full quiver at our disposal here on werfjig's side, and certainly we'll see the same from Humbug. What is this, like the Lynx crossbow training prize pack?
I mean, they'll definitely take those arrows.
All right, 5 and I guess 4 heart Helmasaur King, respectively. 17 hammer smacks, and then, gosh, do you use your bow? Do you use your sword? I mean, fighter sword is not friendly.
And you're going to use...
Ooh.
That was a really nice hammer to end that.
What a mad lad, going for directly on the jewel. That's the most dangerous part of the hitbox to go after if you're not holding your sword out. That's gutsy.
And that's a small key to Ganon's tower. I don't think you're coming to Helmasaur for that. I think we just got some indication of what these runners are thinking.
Yeah, I get the impression we are probably going to need these pendants for a very specific location. Oh, no. Yeah, because, I mean, there's no way we go for the GT small key. Like, that's way too easy to get in somewhere else in this seed.
Yeah, unless you have to do the basement, but there's 4 keys. You're going to find them somewhere else. And you don't need all 4. There's some blue mail, though. That's a nice pickup in Eastern.
I'm actually almost surprised neither of them went to grab that first. They both committed to a relatively difficult Helmasaur King fight, just to avoid having to go through the entrance again. I guess without the mirror, though. Yeah. And we're going to see Humbugh here go back to the right side of Palace of Darkness to get that mirror.
Oh, and okay, so we got a mail upgrade and a sword, and werfjig's out. Nice upgrades. I'm guessing the Eastern big key's not in there though.
Yeah, so that's everything we got for Eastern Palace for now, and definitely valuable. Looks like we're heading back towards Meyer.
We're going in the desert. Pendant Desert.
Yeah, and we did pick up a small and a big key for Desert, so this is pretty much completable at this point.
You know, did Humbugh just what's he planning?
Did he maybe forget to go into Eastern?
Oh, he's heading to Catfish to grab the Desert Big.
Right.
I guess he didn't want the safeties from Eastern.
Yeah, and it's not too hard to get back there. I mean, it is slower, but, you know, if you definitely need to get to Desert, and his pilot probably, you know, watching the opponent, may realize, hey, we can afford to wait for later for that.
By the way, werfjig did pick up a Tempered, and he's heading to Landmola's.
So an interesting point being brought up in chat about the Desert Small not having been used yet. It's possible that we may end up going back in there after the boss. Maybe there's something in the boss that matters more than doing the entire thing in the normal sequence. I'm very surprised to see a save and quit from Humbugh there. Maybe it was just a ploy to get more health.
Alright, so I got werfjig on Landmola's. With Fire Rod and Tempered Sword, this should be pretty easy.
Understatement of the century, JP. That was breezy.
Well, big key to Thieves Town, that was needed. So that one was a required boss.
All right, so 2 pendants down, no crystals. 28 minutes into a spoiler race. This is kind of weird to see.
This really is. And Skullwoods, if this does require something, Skullwoods is a pendant and they both have the Fire Rod. They don't need the big key to Skullwoods. Nice safety pickup there by Forfeiters, so with Humbugh grabbing that bottle. It's actually there. werfjig might have grabbed that too.
Yeah, so Recidador making sure that Humbugh knows about that sword in Desert, as we had missed the one in Eastern earlier. Definitely smart heads-up play by Pilot. And then that'll still give a sword advantage to werfjig and his Pilot Revenant as they head into Meyer. Now that we know that we have 2 pendants that we probably don't need for the sake of being pendants other than the pedestal, JP, what are we expecting to see at this pedestal at this point?
It's so hard to say in Key Sanity. I mean...
All right, let's narrow it. Is it a key or is it a progression item?
Man, I don't know if it's progression because I've got a lot of the progression. What progression do they still even need? In fact, progression-wise, unless it's the Ice Rod, that'd be, I think, the only progression item they still need.
I'm trying to sort out in my mind what's the greater comedy, an Ice Rod or a GT Big Key?
I don't know. Like, it's probably a key at this point. I mean, the weirdest thing would be some weird, really weird combo. I don't know.
Well, we will find out. I think it's no coincidence that we picked up 2 pendants at this point, being that one of them didn't give us an item required. And we could both have no idea and end up not being required, and they just went to those bosses on accident. Be a weird coincidence, but we've seen weirder things in spoiler races this week.
So,
Right.
Humbugh's leaving as werfjig goes for his flippers. And his forfeiter's just going to finish the 3rd pendant now? Looks like it.
And we have the mirror to immediately check it, too.
Meanwhile, I expect werfjig's just going to finish Meyer right now. Not the greatest setup with what he's got for Viddy, but...
JP, what are you
It's
talking
doable.
about? He can technically do deboost.
He can.
I mean, he'd have 1 heart left, but... Can you just imagine Revenant saying, okay, just do deboost Viddy and we're good? And you're looking at your 5 hearts like,
I mean, he does have a fairy.
Yeah, that's right. He does have 1 safety, which will actually, unfortunately, can't overheal him, as it would provide 7... What the?
That was a weird...
Did you see that?
I don't think I've ever seen a runner do that before.
Runner-up for weirdest bonk of the tournament.
Runner-up, so you've seen something weirder?
You know, I just have faith that we'll see something weirder yet.
Okay, that's fair.
Alright, well, technically he'll have half a heart remaining if he does deboost strats. The Mad Lad.
Oh, he took a hit. He can't deboost now.
And this is a super awkward spot to be in because you want to slash and you really don't want to use all your arrows because, you know, you're only going to have... You need to have 8 for the final phase if you want it to be fast. This Mothia fight isn't exactly easy either. Master Sword is not awful, but we have a little bit of health to work with, but definitely an easy fight to get away from you.
Yeah, this is where it's really surprising Humbugh didn't go for Temper, because it's just such a big upgrade.
Wow, and that was the other male upgrade as well, as we see Vitreous and Mothia both down.
And he's got the mirror out. Or at least Humbugh does. And there's our first crystal of nearly 33 minutes.
Alright, folks. Drum roll at home if you have a surface and you're not going to disturb anybody. The moment we've waited half an hour to see, without a book to check to see what it is, and a pilot basically reading the book to see what it is. They've known about it. It is the fabled small key of Thieves Town.
Okay, so what's in the Thieves Town big chest?
Well, we're going to waste no time to find out. Humbugh perhaps feeling a bit baha about that. Going to head immediately in there. They've got to be laughing to each other right now, like they've been waiting for a while.
Now, I mean, yeah, that small key is absolutely required if you want the Thieves Town big chest. You can't get around it.
And only for the Thieves Town big chest, because you could like every other key you need is provided.
Hey, there's our ice rod. That might be our item go mode.
Yeah, now that you put it that way, ice rod for dungeon. We don't need bombos. Pretty much, yeah.
So we still need the Eastern big key, and the Turtle Rock big key, and the GT big key. You can get by without the Hera or Ice big keys, or the Swamp. Oh, and chat does point out we also need the Swamp Small.
Yeah, Swamp Small is very frequently a big holdup for a lot of Key Sanity runners, particularly those who are a bit newer to the format, as it pretty much blocks off the entire dungeon.
We also will need at least one more Turtle Rock Small. Well, actually, I should clarify that. Forfeiters needs one more Turtle Rock Small. Did you check your boot already has 3?
Well, werfjig has a good fight and looks to be about 2.5 minutes behind Humbugh to get that pedestal, maybe 3 minutes. So that's a pretty healthy advantage going on for Forfeiters R Us who, well, I don't know. I mean, do you think Meyer takes more than those 3 minutes?
Do we even go or? It's a good question. It really depends on what they go in with for a weapon. I'd say it's actually pretty about even right now.
Yeah, and I guess it depends more on how the Vitreous execution goes. I mean, Forfeiters R Us with Humbugh has, or at least Presiditor has given him a lot more health to work with, which makes the fight a little bit more palatable.
Well,
a fairy would actually full heal.
there's our answer. Eastern big key in the Thieves Town big chest.
Because that might explain why we didn't pick up that sword.
So the logic there was you had to get the Thieves Town small off the ped for the Eastern big in that big chest.
So at this point, I guess the question is, can werfjig turn that sword advantage into enough time save? The Vitreous fight was definitely faster than you would do it with Master Sword. And he had full arrows at his disposal. I doubt we're going to pick up any safeties that make it significantly faster. And Humbugh has to watch out here. He has half a heart at his disposal.
Yeah, unfortunately he got off pattern, and well, he's got a fairy.
Yeah, so he'll burn his one safety. Going to be very hard pressed to try and find another opportunity. We've already been to Waterfall Cave.
And actually, look at that sword advantage. If Humbugh heads straight to Eastern after this, the sword advantage will be negated pretty quickly.
Yeah, pretty much valuable for the Vitreous fight alone. Most of the minor combat, other than that, is generally not impacted a lot by your sword. Between Mastered and Tempered. All right, well, that's one crystal down for the Forfeiters R Us. Gonna head on over, I believe, to Eastern Palace to get crystal number 2, and a sword upgrade, and I believe a mail upgrade.
Mail upgrade if he wants it, which he might, because you're not going to get much for hearts. So red mail, and usually we say red mail the runners don't need, but in this format, red mail actually has quite a bit more value. We'll see. It's only a few seconds out of the way. Yep, gonna grab it.
Yeah, some of the most competitive pilot and racing pairs have gone to extreme lengths to cut out any and all safeties. I mean, that is some time they could have saved over werfjig and Revenant. But honestly, I think not dying is more important, particularly when you've exhausted your one safety.
Yeah, exactly. So now they're both even on mail and sword.
Maybe another scary blind fight here for werfjig. Humbug's almost got away from him. Assuming the script goes well, should be no problem, though. Looking pretty good so far, so hopefully no major issues between Humbug and werfjig with their respective boss fights, and move our way on to the next available crystals. Looks like werfjig's going to be chasing after Humbug's tail, at least on screen. But that Misery Mire, we'll see if that ends up being enough of a difference, as Forfeiters Are Us definitely putting it off until the end.
It really comes down to if he can get silvers. If he gets silvers, then you're going to have a quick viddy fight. Even without silvers, you can do a pretty quick one.
Yeah, I would say just having the more health to work with, huge if you're going to do damage boost.
And a little bit of a divergence here as werfjig climbs Death Mountain. Humbug making a safety stop. Gonna grab a blue potion.
Yeah, and big props to Recidador for providing the 300 rupees that Humbug used to buy that. He did not have those rupees shortly ago. So they're working very well as a team, communicating to ensure that another safety option exists.
And looks like we're getting a Hera play. So, since they're not saving this for last, we got something in Hera.
Swamp Small, maybe?
Yep, Swamp Small.
I swear, I'm not actually reading the spoiler log right now. I just saw a small, it had to be that, right?
Yeah, for a small key, that's probably about the only one you'd come up here for.
Well, looks like we're not done just yet. We saw a very fast Herapot from werfjig, only like 2 attempts using the hook speed method.
It looks like they're just gonna take Hera out right now.
Yeah, being a required crystal, we have great weaponry to take on Moldorm with. Couldn't be done any faster than now.
Yeah, I mean, you could have technically waited until right before GT, but it'd be an extra mirror transition or two, so just take it out now.
I gotta say, both of these runners pulling off really efficient Herapots. Humbug just as quick as werfjig on that. It's an underrated thing. Like, that's a very imprecise setup when you use hook speed. You have to do a very small, couple frame movement, and then a down right. Some people buffer it, but for the most part, I mean, you have to just time it correctly, and the actual movement when you're clipped inside, not nearly as bad. But yeah, they practiced the heck out of that. You can tell.
And another little nice thing about Spoiler Log Week is we'll sometimes get runners in chats, as Recidador is joining us.
Yeah, Presidador piloting Humbug right now for Forfeiters Are Us. We have not seen Revenant in the chat for Did You Check Your Boot? But perhaps focusing more on werfjig might be the solider strategy. I don't know, but they're doing well on both sides, so I can't criticize. There's also a point as a pilot when you've really found everything. A lot of pilots will delete things in the log if they don't need them at all. So this may also reflect that they've already figured out their entire route.
Yeah, I mean, as far as we can see, they still just need to pick up the TR big key and the GT big key. That's the only two things they still need. Forfeiters, a humbug also needs a TR small, it looks like.
Wow, that is a heck of a refill prize pack screen. There's
Oh.
full magic, 8 bombs, fairy, $20 if you're short on cash.
Now, picking up that blue potion was a pretty good idea for Humbug because of this, just because of this dungeon. He's got to do cold stare, and with only a fire rod, no bombos, means he needs a full magic meter. And with the icebreaker that we're about to see, if you have a little trouble on icebreaker, you're going to use a bit too much magic, and that could be an issue going into cold stare.
Yeah, and the only alternative to using that potion if you don't have enough magic is to maybe do sword beam strats, but that relies on you having full health, and we don't really have ways to replenish health like a powder or anything. So yeah, that's a great backup safety strategy. As we see werfjig from Did You Check Your Boot heading over to do a similar Kana Samaria trick, not quite the same one. We saw Humbug do an icebreaker, also known as extended door state clipping, and we'll see werfjig try to take advantage of a Kana Samaria placement to clip into a railing here, which is about half a tile's width. It takes a little bit of precise movement, but he should be able to get it.
So, Humbug did pick up his third TR small, so he just needs the TR big now. Oh, there it is.
Ask and ye shall receive, JP.
So from here, it's basically blitz mode. There's nothing else they really have to pick up unless the silvers are somewhere along the way.
Blitz mode. Are you saying that Cold Stare here is heating up? He's on fire?
He's about to be on fire.
Well, we'll see if they can go all the way. As werfjig attempting to do some double puff strats here with the hookshot and temper available, Humbug has to execute here. While we can buy another potion, it is probably lethal to the seed in the race if he doesn't make the kill. And it's looking good.
Got hit by one piece of ice, but that wasn't so bad. Well, werfjig didn't quite miss that cycle and had to wait a little bit before finishing off Argus. Oh, that's a nice magic. That's a nice safety on Argus.
And I quite like the decision to do this before ice, just for the extra flexibility of not needing to go pick up a potion. Now, of course, werfjig does have a fairy, so if you can keep that bottle, you may as well. And with the half magic, there's really no concern about magic going into ice.
And looks like the runners are going to swap places now. So Humbug heading to ice as Humbug heading to swamp as werfjig heads to ice. And then after this, we'll see another swap as Humbug will head to Mire, while werfjig heads to Eastern.
And I gotta say, despite Eastern traditionally being kind of a faster dungeon, Mire, we only got to go straight to the boss. I mean, that's about as fast as it gets.
So at this point, we won't fully know who's leading until we see who starts their next Death Mountain climb first.
I'm very curious to think about where the silvers were in all of this, because we did not see werfjig pick them up in Swamp, and I mean, it's worth the time save if it's left side if you know how to dive her down. I mean, I feel like that's a faster Ganon. It's probably worth it, but I could be wrong.
Well, I have been looking at the log a little bit, so we'll talk about that once I get up to GT, and we know they're not going to be picking up much more.
Fair enough, fair enough. Well, it's a straight execution battle. Our pilots waiting anxiously for their runners to do the things and gather the items, kill the pig, as they are helpless and completely hapless to do anything more than they already have. At best, they might be able to point our runners towards some health, maybe an extra bottle if it's convenient, maybe ask Humbug to play the Song of the People, accidentally through a quick swap. This is like 90% of the reason I didn't want to be a pilot. One, it's difficult, but two, you just gotta wait at the end of the race and just hope your runner's better.
Yeah, and right now, for these pilots, they don't know really who's gonna be ahead because this could really go either way. Like, werfjig does have to pick up a couple chests in here because he does need that to finish the dungeon. Or he doesn't need to finish the seed, to be more accurate.
Well, humbugh with a slightly faster diver down, and by that I mean a few less attempts. A little bit of time save earned. Getting the freezer chest here for that big key to TR. And we are closing in on the last things we need.
These two are gonna be at the boss at about the exact same time.
They've been just crossing paths with these bosses all race. But not one of them courageous enough to do a zero cycle Argus. As if it's that easy, right?
If zero cycle Argus is that easy, we'd be seeing it a lot more often. But one cycle Argus is usually not too bad either.
Yeah, and it looks like we're going to get that, actually. That was a good fight.
Werf's got cold stare down. There's Argus down about the exact same time.
Yeah, cold stare not going quite as smoothly for werfjig as for humbugh. The puffs got away, but most importantly, did not take a lot of damage, as at this point, even if you lose a little bit of time, Ice Palace is just so painful to get back to that boss. Even taking a death animation would be a lot of time lost, so werfjig appropriately playing it safe, making sure the kill happens more than anything, and we have simultaneous mirrors leaving dungeons.
And simultaneous ducks. So now it comes down to Meyer versus Eastern. Which is faster?
Well, they should be entering dungeons at about the same time as well, depending on sword climbs, sword spins. This is wild. No sword climb for werfjig. That's 3 or 4 seconds just wasted here. I wish he had done it. Would have made me sound smarter.
Now, chat's saying it's going to be Easter that's faster. I might slightly agree, but Meyer's not that much slower here. All humbugh has to do is run Divinity.
And also, depending on whether or not spooky action glitch happens as well. So, like, if we're using spooky action at a distance to save 10 seconds in the basement, that's pretty big right now. And we have all the things we need to do it with. So I would hazard to say that if humbugh can get a zero cycle Vitreous fight here, I would say he probably leaves this dungeon first. He's got the spooky setup correctly. If he set the altitude correctly with the duck, then we should be good to go here, save some time. Now, the thing that stinks, though, is he going to accidentally hit the switch here? Yo, he had the presence of mind. What concentration.
Alright, he got the glitch. These runners are going to be at their bosses about the same time again.
This is so wild.
If things hold, looks like Werf will probably get out of here a little sooner.
Yeah, the Armos, it's hard to argue with that. Now that we've seen him in the fight first. We'll see if we can get a zero cycle here from humbugh. This is a very difficult fight. Yeah, he's not going to go for that. With only 4 hearts remaining, it'd be lethal if he takes another eyeball.
So Werf's going to get out of Eastern first at this 6th.
Well, edge goes to werfjig overall, but not by a lot. This is an extra clenchy kind of fight because we do not have a fairy at our disposal. It's just the potion, and humbugh really doesn't want to use it yet.
So we've got 53-43 arrival on Death Mountain for werfjig, just as a frame of reference. And Chad also pointing out that werfjig can have a slightly faster turtle rock because he's got all 4 smalls.
Yeah, that allows him to what? Skip grabbing the stolen key, right?
Yep, he can skip Pokekey.
Yeah, that's huge. That's what, 20, 30 seconds minimum?
At least. We're looking at about a 40-second difference.
I just noticed that cape on the on the floating island. It would be unconscionable to pick it up at this point, but I mean, it's there. Only 6 hearts. I doubt it, but knowing that they're ahead, maybe they would consider that.
This is the point in the race where if you know where safety is, that's a little extra time to pick up, and you've got the advantage, you could go for it. But I don't think a 40-second advantage is enough to grab that cape.
I mean, here's the thing, JP, is like, how confident do you feel in your 1+1 Ganon? If you can do it with Tempered, then I think, and take no damage.
Oh, sorry. Our tracker is a little off. Werf only has 3 small keys.
Oh. Wow, this got a lot closer. That's, wow. Okay, so then, holy mackerel. All right, so 55-31 Chomp Door. See, you said the time reference and then I immediately forgot about it. I'm sorry.
But it's good to just keep those time references as we go.
Yeah, and we're looking at basically exactly the same equipment with the exception of the health, which, if you think about it, kind of reflects the difference in time here.
Maybe a little. I mean, the extra heart container was an extra pickup in a pod, so. But yeah, I guess it was about 20, 30 seconds to grab that.
And we're looking at about a 50-second difference going through Chomp Room, so just under a minute separates these two runners, assuming similar execution. That is well within the time that you can save in TR and GT on simple mistakes. Although it is a steep hill to climb. werfjig taking a harder damage there from the Crystal Roller. That's risky. Does not have a lot to spare here.
Yeah, does have the option to pick up a couple hearts here if he wants to. Fortunately, no mushroom, no powder.
I guess the one saving grace is before entering GT, we will get a health refill from the boss, presuming everything goes well. 2 hearts here for werfjig. JP, do you open that safety door, knowing where your opponent is?
No. I trust my executioner, especially in werfjig spot, because I know I have a fairy.
I just don't know if I want to use that fairy yet, you know?
Yeah, but at the same time, you kind of just know where your opponent is. Yeah, it's just too much time to open that safety door.
Yeah, looks like werfjig agrees with you.
And plus, I know backdoor Trinex strat, so I'm not worried about an extended Trinex fight here.
werfjig perhaps being a little bit spooked by that possibility, and we get an early, very rude ice from Trinex here, which means that werfjig has to be extra careful with Fire Rod placement so that he doesn't end up having a unkillable positioning.
Yeah, it looks like not the cleanest phase 1 there. He gets through it.
Yeah, so opportunity for Humbugh to take a little bit of time back with a slightly faster phase 1. Being a second attack cycle, definitely eats some time. You got to wait for that to finish before the boss starts exploding.
Ooh, that hurts a little bit.
Additionally, having to wait for the menu, which is a little bit slower, Taking more damage, but perhaps for the better, as with a second attack cycle, still will have a very similar overall fight. But I would say it's a faster second cycle than werfjig's.
So we had 58-59 for werfjig as his sword went up at the end of Turtle Rock.
Wow, did he really cut this down to less than half a minute?
Not quite half a minute. It'll be probably 35-40 seconds.
Still, that's about 20 seconds time save, roughly. That's crazy. Like in Turtle Rock, that's not a lot of time to give in Turtle Rock in that sense for the stretch that they had available.
We're at about 38-second difference right now. And werfjig heading straight upstairs with 2 small keys. No need to worry about keys on this climb. So it's literally now down to GT execution and Ganon execution.
Yeah, beyond a shadow of a doubt, the most stressful part of the race.
werfjig has about a 38-second advantage. 38-second advantage. We'll see how much that will hold.
And now, humbugh has entered the Ganon's tower at just over an hour.
Humbugh does have to be a little careful with his arrows. He's only got 9.
Yeah, that's true. Really can't afford to miss more than once.
Well, he has a 5-arrow pack in the second room, so he's just got to make sure to get through the first room for the most part.
Opting for a slightly slower but safer mimic strategy to try and save some health here. Nobody's going to be stopping for that refill, I don't think.
No. 1 hour 47 seconds start to the stair climb there to start the gauntlet. I think as we're starting this climb, let's talk about some of the spoiler log and some of the things we didn't see and we will not see at this point. I mentioned Powder before. Powder was in Spiral Cave. Silver arrows, they are in GT, but they're in the basements, so we will not be seeing those either. There is still one safety they might pick up. We'll wait to see that a little later. Hold on.
Now you're just playing with my emotions, JP.
Yeah, there's one safety they could grab in the upstairs. We'll see if they grab it. It is right on the way.
Well, unfortunately, Lamolus 2 on the third worm, the werfjig locking it in with the early second cycle. As forfeiters are us with humbugh closing in right behind him. Unfortunate delay on the door opening there because of the nature of sprites needing to be cleared from the screen, but a 1 cycle would save him some time here.
Sounds like he got the 1 cycle.
No, nope. Just unfortunately on the last one, he had one of the hits.
So it's about a 101.53 climb for werfjig after this. And it's under 30 seconds now, the difference. Humbugh is making up a little time.
werfjig probably going to skip the magic refill at this point, looking to save every possible opportunity to not have that gap close. Heading into Torches 2 as humbugh is just around Torches 1 here in just a moment.
Alright. werfjig gonna blow this. Oh, missed the bomb.
That's rough. Maybe this is late race nerves as, he feels the opponent, clipping his heels. This is real risky, and that's a gold sword.
Yep, that was the one safety I wasn't sure if they were going to pick up. It was right on the way, so it made sense to grab that.
Yeah, I think for how free it makes Ganon and how low health werfjig is right now, same for humbugh. I mean, that's not a lot of health to work with either, even with red mail. That's a definite pickup, right?
Yeah, where it was, that was easy. That was an easy pickup. You're definitely saving time.
Well, perhaps the streaming software for humbugh, hoping to make this as highly anticipated as we can possibly make it, as we cannot see exactly where his progress is just yet. But I'm hoping the stream comes back up for that, because this is an extremely close race. And folks, if you've been enjoying this very close race, give these two runners a follow. Check out their pilots as well. Recidador and Revenant with werfjig and humbugh racing. This has been really exciting to watch.
Yeah, it looks like his partner said his OBS disconnected, but as long as he's recording locally, that's fine. He can upload that later. So the race is still ongoing.
All right, Aga2 down. No health refills available. However, we do have a fairy. werfjig going right into the Ganon fight. Gold sword equipped. No silvers. Gonna have to do 12 spins in the last cycle, but phases 1 and 2 and 3 should be pretty free.
He has 1 heart going into this fight.
I'm really curious now if humbugh had a faster Aghanim 2. I'm like real leery about opening up the race time room.
I've got to close myself. I'm not going to open until at least I see werfjig finish. Now, these first two, the second phase will be a little risky. He has no smart or no Burna, no cape for invuln. He has to use his hook shot.
And so a little bit of dodging, and he should be okay. Now, of course, not
Ooh! But he still has that fairy.
The big part about this, though, is the time it takes for that fairy to powder you. Like, I mean, look at that. 2 sprinkles just while his opponent's probably on Ganon right behind him. That's real scary. I don't think there's much risk of taking a death at this point going forward besides some massive execution drops, but nerves have got to be on your mind as a runner here. You know your pilot's telling you, and my opponent's like right there.
Going for torch glitch. Got the torch glitch.
No free spins, so that's the first one right there. Three of 12, 4 of 12. You can get the 5th one here.
Yeah, this is pretty clean for werfjig. It's just a matter, is the 30-second advantage he basically had earlier enough?
I will say, with perfect execution, humbugh could have closed that gap.
Yeah, it's a clean fight, but it's not a perfect fight by werfjig. There's definitely opportunity for humbugh to catch up.
I've never wanted to open a race time room as much as I've wanted to right now. Well, that is Ganon down for werfjig. We will see in just a moment whether or not humbugh finished before him. werfjig about to have his official time here.
And officially, we can say werfjig finished at a time of 1 hour, 6 minutes, and 50 seconds. And I was kind of hoping humbugh would come back, but he looks like he's not. So we'll give you his time as well. 1 hour, 7 minutes, and 6 seconds.
A 16-second gap from when we were nearly, what, a minute and a half at one point? Or was it, yeah, about a minute and a half before all of the Turok stuff. That is incredible.
Yeah, this was a very close race. I mean, there's definitely little parts where you could see they could have made up a little time or they lost a little time. But yeah, this was very close.
Well, hearty GGs to everybody involved in this race. We'll see if we can get either of the runners or the pilots in for an interview. I imagine humbugh's probably not an internet issue, probably just OBS, but maybe internet, so we might not see him. But yeah, I have questions. I have things to ask these folks. This is quite the exciting race to witness. And while we wait for that, got to say thanks, JP, for joining me on this broadcast. Couldn't imagine somebody more fun to talk about this race with.
Yeah, thanks for joining me as well. I'm just pulling up the standings to see where we're at for the Meyer division. And the top of this division is staying very close. We got Shack Tools Digging Game leading at 18 points. Three-way tie between the Vetoed Arcanum, Double Dippers, and Old Swag at Jackson at 15 points. Then there's a tie for 12 points now, WJPDTB and Did You Check Your Boots at 12. Though the David Rackham and WJPDTB play later today, so that could still change.
Are you piloting later?
No, I'm not. It will be, I believe it's AC, piloted by Korek, versus DT, piloted by Willard. I actually sat this week out, unfortunately, a little sick, so I kind of I wasn't able to practice with them, so I had to sit this week out.
Fair enough. It looks like, did you check your boot? Going to creep up on your guys' heels. It's got to be a little nerve-wracking.
Yeah, but we also do hold a tiebreaker over them. We swept them. I believe we swept them 2-0. Or did we? We played them, right?
Boom, shots fired.
Yeah, we played them week 3. So we have the tiebreaker at least above them. Sorry. But then, yeah, finish out the standings. Forfeiters for us are at 3 points. And then, but we're buddies at the bottom division at 0.
Oh, it looks like we have our interviewees waiting here in the waiting room, about to be ready to be pulled up. So let's go ahead and start our interview. Alrighty, we are joined by 3 of our 4 contestants today. We have werfjig, Revenant, and Recidador. Recidador, is Humbug losing internet?
No, his internet's on. Its OBS is just taking a break.
That's unfortunate. There was a lot going on, so I can understand. Hey, and there's Humbug.
Hey, GG's.
That was an incredible race.
Yeah, it must have been. Up until you couldn't see me finish, I guess.
Yeah, how far ahead was I when that crash happened? Because I assume I was ahead.
You were about 30 seconds ahead.
Okay. Oh, well, then you made up some time.
And at a point like around Turtle Rock or so, it was like before Turtle Rock, it was about a minute or so. So I mean, like it was a gap that was closing, and very exciting for our viewers.
Fast guy in the rearview mirror meme.
Yeah, if I'd have sent Humbug after this Swamp Small when it made sense to, then we probably could have made up some more, even more of that time.
I think Revenant also. We had to go back up for the Swamp Small as well, so we forgot it too.
Yeah, I was trying to sort out the ped seed part of it still, so I was not worried about like going hair for anything at that point. Just trying to figure out how we were gonna get the ped pulled.
Yeah, at least it was convenient.
Yeah, things surprisingly lined up after that.
Yeah, I mean, about the fact that it was a ped seed for a Thieves Town small key. Imagine imagine playing this seed without a spoiler log.
Yeah, that's what
and not last locationing that Eastern Palace big key.
Impossible.
It's absolutely impossible. Everyone is going to last locate that.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to look into the spoiler log to see where the book was, so you could even get the hints, but the book was in desert.
Yeah,
That's mean. Well, so I gotta ask, as a viewer of this race, pilots, when did you find out about the pedestal requirement? Like, I mean, when did you find out, and when did you communicate it?
Before Kakariko.
Between the laughs before Kakariko.
Rev, do you want to tell him?
Mine is a little bit later than that for me. Because I was in the middle of like trying to figure out everything else. I like, wait, this is a pet seed.
Yeah, I think we were definitely. I don't remember the exact time, but it was definitely well past our first trip through Kakariko.
Yeah, I just happened to be.
Piloting is.
I think I was looking for swords, and that takes you past the ped. And I saw what was on there, and I was like, well, I just need to see if this is a problem right now. And it was.
I'm just glad I got to pilot yesterday's instead of this one.
Yeah, this would have been a real headache to pilot. But I gotta ask, how did you get the hook shot?
We ancilla'd. So
Yeah.
originally Rev was going to send me to pod, so I did an ancilla to the in the Dark World to go to pod. But then I accidentally hopped up on the ice, and I know that there's a way to kind of like do a double like jump in the water to get to that ladder from the top right corner of like the Ice Palace island. but I had to save and quit after that, and then I just went straight for Zora, fake flippered, and did the Ancilla for that.
Okay.
Yeah. What about you guys?
Yeah, that and the fact that, I mean, it would have been fairly easy to just store a water walk and fake flipper up to Zora.
Yeah, you could do that. I've actually never done that trick before, so.
I mean,
That- And that was definitely one big difference between the two teams is that Humbugh did the double dip into Meyer, while Werf did not, though he did lose a little time with that failed fake flipper over to the pot area.
Yeah.
It was very inventive to see, though.
It would have been more inventive if I had managed to get the second part of that trick down. But
yeah, that second part doesn't like use any ancilla, right? You just jump off
No.
a very precise part of the shallow water and end up on the pier.
yes, that's exactly right.
Yeah, okay.
I think you jump off, and then where it respawns you is a little bit farther, and then you can just hop. But
Okay.
at the time I didn't remember that, and I was like, I know there's something about jumping in the water, and then I gave up.
All right.
And good that you did, because that ended up being a good decision in that moment.
Yeah. Phew.
Well, it's got to be a breath of relief for both pilots and runners. This is arguably one of the most stressful weeks. Obviously, this is a 2-win week for Did You Check Your Boot. This does keep you in contention for the standings. But looking for 56 collection rate. That's wild to even look at, like, because a lot of people who play these seeds usually go up to like 60s and 70s, which is already low. That really speaks, because I mean, I imagine that was very similar for Forfeiters RS. We didn't get to see Humbugh's collection rate. Did you have it?
I thought you read mine because I also had 56, but then I realized,
Wow.
how could you?
Yeah.
But yeah, 56 in a spoiler seed, and honestly, our times are pretty good for it to be a ped seed as well.
Yeah, I think we had an Aga seed that we practiced either yesterday or the day before that was an hour 20. So the fact that we had to do 3 more dungeons in this and still like sub 110 feels good.
Well, you kept for as few locations as were checked, you definitely kept our tracker Akir busy today, and big thanks to Akir for doing that, because that's a lot of stuff to keep in mind. For a little bit, we thought we had an extra turtle key at our disposal, but no, 3. I mean, you guys did everything you needed to get all the things without any major mistakes, which we've seen a lot in this spoiler week. So a big commendation to both teams for not having major mistakes in routing. That's a seriously large challenge for how short of a race this was.
Yeah, and big shout out to Rev, because up until like last night at like 10 p.m. Eastern, we didn't know that he was going to be piloting. So that was thanks for stepping up, Rev.
Yep.
Well, looking forward into the next, or I guess the remaining weeks, you know, I guess I'll start with Humbugh and Recidador. Do you plan to race any particular weeks?
I think next week, I know that Dataplat are gonna do a mystery seed, and I don't think we've decided between the two of us.
We're still thinking about it, but obviously we have to do the co-op Randomizer, since Data can't really do the co-op. So
yeah.
And then I think I'm going to kick the Aldi Dungeons Key Sanity to Humbugh for sure.
And I will happily embrace that. I love AD keys. That's an awesome mode, and it's a worthy replacement of cross keys. Pepe hands.
I'm sure got a taste of it this week.
There should be no replacement. No replacement of cross keys.
I won't agree that, but if there should be, AD keys is really good.
I want to play the cross keys week. That's what I want to play.
Dorando when?
Hey, it may be a while, but I'm sure someday, maybe. Maybe in the mystery some season. But also, same questions to werfjig and Revenant. Any particular weeks we can expect to see you? Your hungry fans want to know when you're racing.
I'm really looking forward to week 7. The next 2 weeks are a planned vacation, but I might still race 1 or 2 of them.
And I think it seems like I'll be racing every week from here on out. So look out.
Ominous. Well, JP, do we have more matches on the docket for today? I believe today was a pretty packed day.
Yes, we have plenty more going on today. Over on SpeedGaming 4 right now, we've got Pug Trio versus OP Got Good, which is Weighty Words versus Nielsen Alex. Futon and Stomach Bladder piloting. Starting in about 10 minutes on SpeedGaming 1 main channel. I Like Big Boots versus Never Do Chickens, which is Broken versus Wolfie. And then later tonight still, 8 p.m. on SpeedGaming 5, they vetoed our acronym versus WJPDTV, AC versus DT. Waffle House Drive-Thru versus Wu-Tang Clan starting at the same time on SpeedGaming 4. Salty Fry versus Emo Saru. And then to finish off the nights, we've got Tile Roomies versus The Immortals on SpeedGaming 1. Artie Walsh versus Duke Firebird at 10 p.m. And then we still have 4 more races tomorrow to finish off this week.
Yeah, so it just randomizer just keeps going and going and going. Well, I think that's pretty much all we've got for this particular broadcast. Of course, folks, stay tuned. I'm sure we'll end up with a raid over to one of these other channels. But any final thoughts on the seed, on the race today from either of our teams? I guess I'll start with Humbugh and Recidador.
No, I've been having anxiety over the seed for far too long, so I'm okay with putting it in the books.
Just gonna cast a curse on the Swamp Small.
Yeah.
I'm ready to put this week behind me. It's been a crazy one, but I'm just happy to come out of here lucky enough to get 2 wins because you can't sleep on any week. But also just a quick shout out and thanks to Ikeron Tracking and Yuta and JP. Thanks to the comms. I'll probably watch it back and see and watch Humbugh slowly gain on me.
Hey, the anxiety goes down better the second time, I swear.
Yeah.
That's good to hear.
Yeah.
Just looking to next week, it looks like, did you check your boot? You've got a pretty big challenge coming up here against Shaqtool's digging game next week.
Yeah, that's going to be really tough. I think they're sitting on the top of the division right now. So
They're at 18 points. They still have a race to play this week, so they could get to 21, I think.
Yeah, that's a tall order. We'll see if we can steal one from them.
And then Forfeiters gets Buddies. It's gonna be an interesting week.
It is. Mystery is fun.
Well, everything's up in the air next week, so I'm excited to see that.
I still haven't looked at the mystery weights for this, but Crossworld Entrance is on there, right?
Yes, you could actually get inverted cross keys if things happen right.
Or wrong.
Oh no, definitely right. If I had to choose a mode to get, during Mystery Week, if I were playing, it would definitely be inverted cross keys.
Left, right, south, things going south, things going north. I don't know. It's very confusing in Mystery. You're not really sure until you've entered and closed a few doors, and then you're still not sure. Well, we should let you...
Yeah, if you want to check out the weights, check out the Discord. That will have all the information on what weights will be next week.
Yeah, I'll make sure to do that. I guess I'll.
Well, we should let the 2 teams get themselves mentally and I guess execution-wise prepared for the mystery debacle that will ensue in just another day or 2. So, folks, from everybody here at SpeedGaming, the Link to the Past Randomizer League, I'd like to thank all of you for tuning in. JP again for sharing the mic with me, Ake here for tracking, and our runners for putting on this great display. Give them a follow if you haven't already. Keep track of the rest of their season and onwards. And folks, I've been Eudaimonistic, joined by JP. Have a wonderful night, and JP, feel free to sign us off.
As you guys said, thanks to everybody, and go watch some more races and have a good day.